Hi, thank you for joining me in the monthly Zoom chat. I'm Joan Lok, and today is August the 15th. I usually have it on Saturday, but then because of some personal matters, I'm moving it to Sunday. And thank you, Kathy and Debbie, for joining me. Today, I do not have any particular submitted questions. So what I plan to do is actually to talk about our one year anniversary logistics. And as I have discussed that with our people who sign in, to hear some of the suggestions and things like that, what I find out is that although some of you are interested in a online gallery show, but then it appears that we may not have sufficient number of people who would like to do that. So we may want to table it for another year. Because I think we should at least have, at least like a double-digit number of people in order to build that specific page for it. So we'll probably try to table it until next year, so we won't have an online show. But what we'll do is we will probably do the show and tell, which is similar to our Chinese New Year celebration. And then when I look at the lunar calendar, September actually is because the first month is in February, so September is actually the 8th month in the lunar calendar. And then the 15th day of the 8th month in the lunar calendar is the Mid-Autumn Festival or the Moon Festival. So in a way, like September is our Moon Festival. So even without the anniversary, it's kind of like a good excuse to have a celebration, because the Moon Festival is similar to the Thanksgiving of the East. When you really think about it, Thanksgiving, people come back from afar, even they may travel across state line or from another country, they would come back home for the Thanksgiving dinner. And then in the Eastern culture, the Mid-Autumn Festival is a time for a lot of people to come back home. And when you really think about it, the reason is because in Asia, China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and a lot of East Asian countries, most of them are agricultural based. And when it comes to agricultural based countries, autumn is the time for harvest for most crops. And because it's the time of harvest for most crops, the reason why people go home is to help with the harvesting. When you really think about it, it's to help the harvesting. And in order to help the harvesting, is kind of like a good time to celebrate, because people who are abroad would come back home to help with the harvesting, and also just like our Thanksgiving will actually gather. So when the traditional come down, the Mid-Autumn Festival, because it's to celebrate autumn and also celebrate harvesting. And then according to the lunar calendar, is actually the time where the moon is the fullest. And if you look at the calendar this year, the Mid-Autumn Festival fall on September the 21st, which is a Tuesday. And then I think the full moon, according to the Western zodiac, is either that day or the day before. So in a way, they also collide exactly. So it's the moon festival and things like that. So my plan, I look at the calendar and things like that. My plan, at least tentatively, is to have the Zoom chat either on the 18th or the 25th, which is a Saturday, because I think people like it on a Saturday. And then, like if we want to do it, we can do it in the regular time, which is around 1 or 2 Eastern time. If not, we can make it slightly later. So it will be the evening for the people in the East Coast, but kind of early evening, because Moon Festival is usually in the evening, because otherwise you can't see the moon, right? And as a matter of fact, it's just like, when in Japan, when you look at the cherry blossom under the cherry tree and look at the flowers, for the Moon Festival, people would go outside instead of indoor. They will have a very nice dinner. And after the nice dinner, they will gather and chat about, what they have done, like all the, neighborhood gossip and, who is getting married, who is having a new baby and things like that. And then all those are actually done outdoor in the garden, in the park, where the kids will be playing with lanterns. And then we will have, like wine and liquor and a lot of food, including mooncake. and then we will just, eat and admire the moon. And then for poet, they will be, like writing poems, and for artists, they'll be drawing pictures of the moon, and that's the moon festival. So I only have 3 participants, but then I can always do another survey later. But do you want it to be slightly later in the day, or we'll just keep it at around 1 or 2 in the afternoon for Eastern time? And wherever you are, it would be just slightly earlier, or you want me to maybe move it a little bit later, so it is kind of like the moon outside. But of course, we're assuming it doesn't really matter. So do we have any? And then my tentative date is maybe around the 25th, or we can move it again, because I mean we don't really have to match the moon festival. In a way, is our anniversary. So any comment, any suggestions of what I said?
The 18th would be better for me. I absolutely can't on the 25th. I have 2 commitments already.
Oh,
on
okay.
the
I can't
25th.
either.
Okay, so the 25th actually is not a good day. All right. So do you guys want to keep it on a Saturday?
Yes,
Okay.
better than a
So
Sunday. Yes.
yeah,
Sure.
okay. So I can do that instead of earlier, because it's already the 15th. I want to give people time. So maybe we can move it to sometime in October, because with 25th doesn't work, the next Saturday is actually October the 2nd, which is fine. We can always move that, or maybe, like move it to the 2nd day, which is October 9th. But I can do that. But at least, I have, at least, 2 out of 3, like the 25th is not a good day. So, like I want to make sure that, like whoever is here, they say is stronger, right?
You go.
Hey, you show up, right?
That's right.
So the 25th, I would not have it, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That's great.
and then the format, right? I think the show and tell is something that people like, so we will do another show and tell, and depending on how many people are joining, but I think at least 1 painting per artist, or at least have like prepare 1 painting. So just like last time, like whatever painting that you have prepared, it could be related to a workshop that I have taught, or like with you have something that you want to show up, it may, and it's not related to any of my online workshop, I think it's fine. But I want to keep it to sumie and brush painting, because although, like I know that, many of you are oil painter, or, work on acrylic or some other format, but then I think we want to keep it kind of Eastern brush painting. So hopefully it will be, something that is related to the Joan Lok online workshop. So we can talk about, oh, this is the Rose workshop, this is what I made up from a particular demo. So that's more interesting. But then if you have something that you work on, I think we should open it up, so people won't feel the pressure that I must do something for it. So but I want to limit it to kind of like sumie and Eastern brush painting, and 1 per artist, or at least, like have 1 ready, and if we have more time, we can always share more, right? And then that would be the show and tell. And like in last time, I actually did not have an RSVP. I just kind of like play it by the year, and people are kind of impromptu. I think we should be able to do that, because it's not like we have lots and lots of people. Or do you want it to be more RSVP, so I can actually gauge, okay, Kathy go first, and then Debbie will be the second one, and then Terry will be the third one. So when you're coming up. Do you want it more formalized, or does it matter?
I think it worked out fine last time. People just jumped in, and everybody's very patient.
Yeah, okay. And
Yeah.
then I will, on my email to everyone, I would do a reminder to make sure that, kind of like, if you have a chance to kind of test to see with your painting, with this under glass, is there a big glare from whatever light you're using, or if we are back by a window that, you are actually behind, kind of like there's light behind you, and then the artwork will be very dark. So little things like that, I will actually have some kind of bullets, in my email to everyone to kind of, remind people to test something, to make sure you don't have any glare, and with it is oversized. Is there a particular artwork that you want to pick that kind of show up better? Because some artwork size show up better than others. I mean, for example, I mean, okay, I have a Lotus workshop coming up. So for example, like this will be something that show up pretty good. But when it comes to the size of the painting, it's not that big. It's almost like a, maybe a 11 by 12, like which is a relatively small painting, but then it will show up pretty well on the screen. And if you have something bigger, this is a 18, I know, it's a 1714. See, this one show up pretty good size. However, if we have something bigger, then you have to move back and forth, which will be very hard for people to look at, or if it's extremely long, unless, like for example, in Debbie, like a workplace, you actually have it on the wall and you can point to it and things like that, then that would be different. Yeah, so I will have some pointers to remind people how to do it, or with your things is very wrinkled, then would you like to mount it, or at least have a piece of board that it would not be like curled up and things like that. So I will have some pointers of what to do, and then we'll also have comments and things like that. My plan is I don't think we'll have tons and tons of people joining, because I know that a majority of us actually just want to see what other people did. So I think maybe like 1 hour or 1.5 hours would be sufficient. Like because what I plan to do is I want to plan it as a 2-hour event, because it's our anniversary. So I want to plan as a 2-hour event. After the brief intro, we will designate 60 minutes for the show and tell. And if we have more people, we can split it over to 90 minutes. But then the initial plan is have it for 60 minutes, and each person will speak for around 3 minutes, and then have Q&A or comment from peers for 2 minutes, so like 5 minutes per person. I think 5 minutes per person for 60 minutes, we'll have 12 people, with it's back to back to back. So I do think that, like I have to say that if you have to talk for 3 minutes, it's a long time. Right? So I think that should be good, so I will explain that. And I think we would have enough for 12 people. And what I would do is I will prepare one painting just like everyone else, but then I will have a few backup. So just in case we don't have a lot of, or we have a lot of camera shy students, then what we'll do is maybe I will, talk about this, and then I will jump to another one. So we would not have any downtime. We will at least commit to talking for 60 minutes, right? And then we have a lot of people, and then we spill over, because I have to say that I don't want to cut people off, especially when we are sometimes, you know how things are. When we talk about one thing, then we continue to develop from that, and then we may have more than 5 minutes for each artist. So it's 60 to 90 minutes. So we can expand it for half an hour, and then but that's the plan. At around 90 minutes, we'll cut that off unless we really have a lot of response. And then another thing is initially planned is the first 1 hour is show and tell, and the second hour is the happy hour. And when I say happy hour, it's actually just a chit chat. And what I plan to do is after the show and tell, I will actually cut the recording, because I do know that there are people that would like to say something, but they don't want to go on camera, or maybe it's not as related to Zoom, but like when the camera is rolling, they may not be as free. So the 60 to 90 minutes is the show and tell, and it will be recorded, and I will be shared with the group. And just like all the Zoom chat, in a few days, I will also make sure there's nothing that need to be cut, and then I will post it on YouTube, so people who miss it can watch it as well. But then the happy hour is something that it will not be recorded. And the happy hour basically is really a get to know each other, because I do know that, for example, Kathy probably saw Debbie multiple times, and Debbie may have seen Teresa multiple times, but you may not know each other. So maybe, maybe you have saw, Debbie's, I'm not sure whether you guys are members of the Zoomy Society of America. The latest magazine, I wrote an article on, what I learned teaching in online and Zoomie during the pandemic. And I have asked students to submit their work. And Debbie has a really marvelous promo that is actually published in the book. And I have to say that, like it's a marvelous painting, Debbie, by the way. Like maybe you guys want to chit chat and ask her how she did it, or little things, or what inspired her, things like that. So it will be something that you can get to know each other, or maybe, like I have to say that doing the Zoom workshop, of course, doing the video is all business, right? But then doing the Zoom workshop, even I chit chat a little bit, it's still all business of, exactly how to load the brush, how to do the stroke and things like that. So the happy hour is kind of like when we have an in-person workshop and then we have lunch together, or, after the event we have dinner together, it's get to know each other, and we can talk a little bit about, you may not want to talk about your kids, but maybe, like little silly things that when you were in a art supply store and trying to buy a particular Sumi brush, and then you end up, like finding the best rice paper, like little things like that, that may not be the class related, but is kind of like by doing that, we get to know each other as an artist and things like that. So that would be the happy hour. And then to prepare for the happy hour, my suggestion, that's why I was asking, do you want it at a later hour? Because I was suggesting maybe, like, because, like even I have a drink, we can do cheers like this, but then, like I can't really tell you, oh, this is a really good red wine, because you can't share it, right? But then the thing is, maybe we'll have typical food for the Moon Festival, or, like things that is typical for a reception or a happy hour, whatever you like. If you love to have a glass of wine, or if you like the best tea that you like to have, then everybody will have that. And so we can munch over our own snack when we are doing kind of like socializing. So that's why I call it happy hour. And as I say, it's not recorded, so it'll be more freer when it comes to the discussions. Or maybe like something unrelated, but you're dying to know. For example, with your like, Joan, but where did you get this necklace? I really want to buy one, or something like that. Then like I may not want it recorded, but then maybe I'll like, oh, I'll tell you, my sister made it for me. I'll show you where to buy the beads, things like that. That maybe people would like to know, right? So that's the happy hour. So that's my plan for the show and tell and the happy hour. And so any comments, any suggestions of how I can make it better? Or like how you would like it improved, or what you heard you don't want, you want me to cut that out, let me know.
Well,
No, it sounds like fun.
since you said Deb has such a wonderful painting, did you enter it in the show?
Which show? I'm sorry.
The Sumi Society, there's an annual competition.
No, I didn't. I don't know. Maybe I can next year. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there a deadline for when you have to do the, does the painting have to be done in the last year?
Within 2 years.
Oh, well then
Within
maybe
2 years. So it'll be fine. And next year, the schedule will be very similar to this year.
Okay.
Because I mean, it takes a lot to plan it. So
Right.
this year, we are actually at the kind of like the tail end of it, because the judge has already selected the painting that are accepted. I think the annual show, because I mean, we have a professional webmaster that built a website for us, and everything is ready, and they will kind of launch it, I believe, in around 2 to 3 weeks time, kind of at the end of the month. I mean, I don't know the exact date. I think it's 29th of August, but don't like call me on that. But then I know that there's a set day for the show, and with that, then the Sumi Society would have probably a mass email to all the members, because this is online, so they will remind them to, this is the link, this is the kind of like how you get in, and please look at it, or things like that. So I think it's the end of the month, and by then we will know, I mean, how many winning painting are there, which are the ones that won, and things like that. But then that is, and then of course, we will have the award, and all the facilities that come with it, and the workshop by the judges and things like that. And after that, then we will move on to the 2022 show. And because unfortunately, even with the vaccine, we are not completely out of the COVID pandemic yet. So in order to make sure that we are not going, like in-person show planning and then come back to virtual. So the 2022 will be a virtual show as well, just to play safe, so the 2022 will also be a virtual show, and all the logistics are being worked on, for example, like who will be the judge, what are the workshops and all those things. But then I believe that the timing will be very, very similar. So we will have the announcement of all the information, probably the first quarter of next year. And then the deadline for submission will be the end of the second quarter. So maybe like June or July, like all the exact date would have been set by the society. So, and then, like, and then another quarter later would be the announcement of the acceptance and the judge selection of all the winners. And then, of course, the last tail end would be distribution of the award, like making the catalog and then distributing items to the all the members and things like that. So the cycle go again. So have your painting ready. This is a great piece, and of course, you can always switch it. Like at the end of it, you can, because you can submit 2 painting and also 2 calligraphy. So you cannot submit more than 2. And but then the thing is, because it's an online submission, you can submit like 2 paintings, but say before the deadline, you actually made a better one. You can always, at the last minute, switch it to the one that you think is better. But of course, the end of the day is each artist can only submit 2 painting and 2 calligraphy. You cannot have like, okay, I have 15 work that I really like. You cannot do that. You have to kind of like make sure that these are the 2 that you really want to be in.
Thank you.
So the annual meeting is the 29th at 5 o'clock Eastern.
So that probably would likely be the announcement of the winning artwork as well. Because
it is. It's SSA Awards.
Okay, so it probably would be, because typically the judge would actually tell you who won, and then when and then we'll have like a PowerPoint presentation and the winning artwork. Say, for example, like with say this is the winning artwork. Then the screen will have this, and then the judge will say that I picked this piece of artwork because I really like the composition, or I really like the balance of yin and yang. Whatever reason that the judge think this is the winning artwork, or like with I picked this one for innovation, or this one for traditional brushwork, and then the judge will tell you why, or like what she likes about this particular piece. That's why she picked it as a winning artwork or things like that. So okay, so that's confirmed. It's actually on the 29th, so we'll know who won and what those will be. So I think all of you are SUNY Society's members, so you will get the notification. Yeah.
Isn't Chicago planning it next year?
This year is the national board
for 2022.
Oh, 2022, I am not 100% sure yet, because actually the board meeting was last week, but I was actually out of town last week, so I did not participate. I actually submitted my proxy. I have, as I say, in the last 7 days, I have some personal matter that I have to deal with. It's a family emergency. So, but then my understanding is we are still searching for judge. And there are multiple nominees, and I think one is near the Chicago area. But then there are also other candidates, and like I cannot disclose more. Yeah, but then every year with it is a physical show. A lot of times we will have a local chapter that helps sponsor it, because we do need. It takes a village to have a show. So with it is a in-person show, we will most likely engage the local chapters to help with, like planning the banquet, like organizing the gallery, hanging and taking off, and all the logistics for it. So if it's an in-person show, we'll always engage a local chapter if we can. Yeah.
Well, I think I heard it was Chicago, but if it's decided to go virtual again, then maybe they're kind of out of it. But
Yeah, as I said, I wasn't in the last meeting, so I don't want to,
Yeah.
presume that what I know is true, because
Yeah.
you never know. I mean, maybe certain things are discussed, and like other things are still, like there are contingency and things like that. I don't want to, like put the cart before the horse. Yeah, but then I have been involved in multiple annual shows, because I was the national president for 10 years. So I'm pretty familiar with the usual protocol of getting it done. So it's a fun thing. As a matter of fact, like I know that you are from everywhere in around the country, but then in a virtual environment, I mean, people can really contribute with their expertise and things like that. Yeah, so it is fun. It's fun.
Mm.
And then, oh, by the way, the annual anniversary, at one point we were also thinking about kind of like a competition and give out prizes. But then, we probably, I mean, the Joan Lok online workshop, I don't think the following is a big enough circle of people to actually select winners yet, because otherwise it would be like, you have 10 people and then you have 5 awards. It sounds kind of a little bit, like closed circle thing. So therefore I think we need to grow a little bit before we can, do that. But then, as I mentioned earlier, if I'm going to do that, the first try I'm going to do is actually a peanut award, meaning that we are not going to have a judge, but we'll vote for each other, and see which one is the most popular, which one is liked by, kind of like majority of the participants, because I think it's kind of fun as well. So instead of a professional judge that say, this is the composition, this is the brushwork, this is whatever that I like, or me picking, which painting is the best, I think, it's kind of like leave it to the peer. You'll be surprised. Sometimes the peer may pick something that is a very refreshing idea of what we think is the trend, or is something that maybe master will overlook, because sometimes when especially when it comes to art, I think sometimes there's a danger of overtrained, meaning that when you are so trained in a particular skill set or technique, you are so overthinking the process because you are so into the technical side of the execution. And by doing that, you may kill the spirit of that. And I talk a lot about muscle training. I talk all about, like in order to execute a particular brushwork, for example, here, like this is, I mean, because I'm doing a lotus workshop, as I said, like it will cover the leaves as well. So this is actually very quick, like, and then it's kind of like the whole thing is done in one sitting and without reloading the brush, okay? And muscle training is important. But however, with we have a student who, without thinking, just do the muscle training, then all the leaf that the student do will look exactly like that. And with the person have a one-person show, all the leaves will be like that, because that's the only way that he or she know how to paint a lotus leaf. And that would be something that I want my student not to do, because then you will just paint like what I show you, but not better. Like you want to combine what you learn, but also add your own spirit. Add what is Debbie, what is Judy, what is Terry, or what is Kevin, and add your personal experience, your life wisdom that you learn from work, family, or just personal journey, and get it into the brushwork. And as you can see, I have really colorful painting. A lot of times, I'm a very colorful person, but then that doesn't mean that I don't do black and white or ink only painting. It's a different side of me that like that also is me. But then that doesn't mean that like all my students are like that, because you may be like more inclined to do meticulous work, or spirited work, but then it really have to fit your mood and fit your personality. You cannot mimic someone, because if you mimic someone, even you can make an exact copy, you are just a very good imposter. And I don't want that. I mean, that's not the way to be an artist. Then you'll just be a very nice forger. Then you can sign, the artist's name and say that, oh, this is a Ming Dynasty masterpiece. So maybe people will pay thousands of dollars for it, right? But then that's not your work. That's just a very nice copy of someone from the Ming Dynasty. And I don't think we should go after that, right? So that's at least that's the spirit of what I'm trying to do. Yeah. So do I have any questions on our anniversary? No. So it will. I have to look at the calendar. It would not be on the 25th. By the way, Judy, I mean, like we are thinking about what is the best day to do it. And then somehow, like we have people who are not available on the 25th. And so one way or the other, that day is out, and I may move it to October. But then that will give us more time to prepare. And I will do an email list on, some of the things that we will work on. It will be 2 hours long. The first hour on show and tell, and with the spillover, it will be 90 minutes, and it will be recorded so we can watch later on YouTube. And the second hour will be happy hour, which will be just chit chat to get to know each other, and it will not be recorded, so we can just chit chat and get to know each other. And that will be our get together in for the anniversary. And if it is not September, then move it to October. And oh, by the way, for the anniversary, I thought of giving all the existing students a coupon, but then I also know that there are people who, for whatever reason, have a difficult time using the coupon because the system is so smart and it just click and then get into payment. And I cannot correct that, that protocol. So what I did is I actually looked at some of the classes and I picked one and I just give it 50% off, and there's no coupon needed. The class for Amerians is $15 until September 30th. So if you are interested in Amerians, it's only $15 until the 30th of September. So that would be kind of like the anniversary special or something like that. And any more questions and things like that? If not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the recording. So I'll see you guys. I'll just close the recording and we can continue chit chatting. So let's see.
I think